A shooting took place at LAX this morning around 9:30 a.m. The shooter has been detained. He was actually shot multiple times in the chest. However, he survived. 6 people were injured, and unfortunately, 1 TSA officer was shot and killed in this ridiculous rampage. Now, this was politically motivated. He did have an assault rifle, and he allegedly went up to multiple people at the airport asking whether or not they worked for the TSA. If they said no, he would just walk past them. If they said yes, that was when he would open fire. Of course, chaos ensued. This all took place at Terminal 3. People literally ran off into the tarmac, and many areas of the airport were evacuated as a result of this, but he has been detained and he was a lone gunman.
So, Ben, you were reading somewhere that he was maybe motivated by, and when I say maybe, just because it's a breaking story and things change all the time, I don't want to CNN it, right? But might have been motivated by anti-government positions.
Yeah, the CNN was reporting they found anti-government material on him at the time, so that's what they're operating on. And again, he's alive.
Yeah, he's only 23 years old.
Yeah, that's interesting. His name is Paul Anthony.
He had both
Ciancia, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Jersey and California. He had residences in both places or had lived in both places.
Appears to be a white gentleman, and given that his name is Paul Anthony, I'm guessing he's not Muslim. Which,
by the way, is a huge relief.
Yeah, because if it turns out it's a white guy, as it appears to be,
right,
people aren't going to say afterwards, like, the white guys, you know how they are, right?
I mean, I'm just really angry. Why aren't the moderate whites apologizing on behalf of these crazy right-wing whites?
Yeah, I haven't seen a single apology by a white person today.
I'll do it.
Okay, thank you, Ben. In that case, it's all better now.
Right, this was an outrageous act, but it doesn't represent what all of us white people believe. And I urge the rest of the white community to stay calm and please no reprisals against white people.
You know what's so outrageous about this story? How often these shootings are taking place now. I mean, there's a shooting. We, during the production meeting, seriously considered whether or not we should even cover this story because there's a new shooting every day, multiple new shootings every day.
And only one person died, so it's like a minor new shooting. It's really sad.
It's sad to call it a minor new shooting.
Exactly.
My reaction in the morning when I read this was totally nonplussed. Like, I was like, in the old days, if you had a shooting that was near you, right, you'd be like, whoa, oh my God, what happened? Is everybody okay? Whatever. Now we've just become so used to it. We're like, oh yeah, of course, there's a shooting down the street. Yeah, that's what happens. It's America. There's nonstop shootings. Like, in order for it to be like a big deal, it's got to be a shooting like literally down the street, like somebody you knew, or wait, is my family safe?
Well, this resonates a little bit with I'm sure a lot of people it does with me because I travel a lot. But you're right. I mean,
I travel Virgin all the time.
Right,
which
it
is
makes
Terminal 3.
It resonates. Right, what's weird is that I never travel out of Terminal 3, so I was like, oh, Terminal 3, nobody's there.
No, I was like, that's my favorite terminal. Damn it.
Right. At the end of the CNN story, there's a link. This is great. This is only in America. Celebrities give social media accounts of LAX incident. Like, who gives a shit? Like, this is serious.
There were a few celebrities that were there at the scene, and they were tweeting about it. So
I know it's just weird. It's like we're like, ooh, what did Kim Kardashian have to say about the LAX incident? Like there's not enough important news.
Right. But look, I go to LAX all the time. Obviously, I travel all the time, and I feel like, man, luck of the draw. I mean, there's going to be a shooting in places you've been at some point. Doesn't matter whether you're there or someone you love is there, because there's non-stop shootings, and as long as everybody's armed, there will be non-stop shootings. And I guess we're just like the dogs in that experiment where they keep shocking the cage at random times. Just lie down every once in a while and wait for your shock. Right?
It's scary stuff. I mean, I'm very curious to see how many mass shootings we need to go through in order for any type of realistic regulation to pass through. But it turns out that that's just never going to happen. We're just going to have to live in a country where there are multiple shootings a day, and every once in a while you sprinkle in mass shootings where, many kids die as a result of this kind of stupidity and access to assault weapons.
The point I'm about to make could be used either way, but until there's a political will for it. Right, and that's not just meaning an emotional outpouring that eventually goes away, like after Newtown. But I would only say that, in the last 2 months, something changed regarding a much less important point, but nonetheless something that I would never thought would ever change, which is the team name of the Washington football team. All of a sudden, it just shifted into a different level, and you never know quite exactly when it's going to happen. And granted, there's giant moneyed interests behind the gun control debate that are not really behind whatever the football team's name is in Washington. But for the first time, like in the last couple days, the San Francisco Chronicle is not going to use the name Redskins, right? And a bunch of people online, Bill Simmons is not using the name, a bunch of websites, Slate's not using the name. Like, all of a sudden, you're like, if ESPN stops using the name in their broadcasts, it's going to get super awkward for the NFL. So, like, I don't know. You're right.
I know, but a situation like gun control is so much more complicated than that. It's so much more complicated, and it's also it's widely unpopular for politicians to get involved in it. So
yeah, there has to be a change in political will, but you never know when that change might happen.
I actually think that's going to happen when there's a change in the economics. So I actually think that 3D printers, where you can print your own gun, is what's going to lead to gun control, because the gun manufacturers are going to want to stop that, or at least control it. So, and to do that, they need to submit to regulation.
Print your own gun?
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't heard this?
With the 3D printer, they have a resin where you can print out layers that you can put together to become your own gun. It's amazing. So they already have it. It's not perfected. It's far from being perfected. But that's when the NRA and the gun manufacturers would flip very quickly and very vigorously support gun control. I guarantee it.
No, that's actually a great point. And it'll be easy. Like, we can't have people making guns at home. That's unsafe. That's what they'll say. Yeah. But in reality, of course, what they mean is, well, I'm not making any money off that. All right. One final point on the shooting here. If in fact he was targeting TSA people, as Anna pointed out, there's all this propaganda against the TSA. And look, we get frustrated by the machines that we got to go through and all the different, and they take your pictures of you nude and kind of from the x-ray, but don't worry, there aren't any guys looking at it, et cetera, right? But we don't say it as like, oh, it's the goddamn TSA agents. That's crazy talk, right? They've got nothing to do with it. They got a job, they're doing it, right? But there are people out there who do propaganda against the TSA all the time, right? Yeah. There's conservatives, and then there are like conspiracy theorists, etc., like libertarians. And so a guy goes around looking for TSA people to kill. Look, that guy was listening to some show, okay? I don't know what show it was, but he didn't just magically, it's not like somebody was like, I hate bakers, I'm gonna go after bakers, right? Just or candlestick makers out of nowhere. No, like, I know. Okay.
Butchers or,
Right. Well, that's the other one I was
Indian
thinking.
chiefs.
Or 3 men in a tub.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But I will guarantee you this, that tonight, Fox News will refer to Paul Anthony Sciancia as a left-wing radical.
No, I don't think they'll use for a left-wing radical. They might, but they'll talk about his mental illness, undiagnosed mental illness.
Yeah.
Or his video games.
And
right. He's probably playing a lot of video games.
Yeah.
Right. They might do all that, but the main strategy I bet they use is move on as quickly as possible, right? It's not a news story. He's not Muslim. He's not, he's not a left-winger, it appears. So it's not, and I think they will actually believe this. There's no interesting news story there. It's just a shooting, whatever, shootings happen. It wasn't terrorism, so we move on. Because there's no political win in this for them. So they'll bury this within, by the way, literally by the end of tonight, they'll never talk about it again.
It's the main story on Fox News right now, foxnews.com. So, but will they mention the anti-government thing, which is in the first paragraph of the CNN story?